Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone to Wednesday night's Cookalong in Supper Heroes. My name is Jonno Proudfoot, and today we are going to be cooking. Let me just fix this. I can see my screen is about to turn off, which is tragic. I'm about to cook Trinchado, the not traditional way, and we're going to have that with some sauteed veg. So if all of you have seen what we were supposed to do in preparation for this thing, we had to get our veg chopped up. And just by the way, apologies, I lost my my top cam like a minute before we went in, which is devastating because I wanted to show you like how it all goes down. So what I might have to do is just pick up that camera and show you up close. But so
It's still.
Yeah, no. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I don't know why my screen's locking. It's totally weird, but I'm going to keep it under control. So we had to have sauteed veg. So that's how big the veg was cut. I posted a picture earlier today. And then we had to have our, so that's some courgettes, some peppers, some onion, and courgettes, pepper, onion pretty much. We had to have rump, which is cut like that into sort of like big 2-3 centimeter cubes. And then the rest was, you know, we had capers. So let me just show you here. What have we got here? We've got beef stock, parsley, olives, red onion, and capers. And on this side, I've got some chili and garlic paste over here, some smoked paprika, some lemons, and then a little bit of butter. But I'm going to not use the butter. I'm actually going to use olive oil instead. Okay. So how are we going to do this? We're going to go meat first. We're going to go veg first. So the first pan I want you to get is your bigger pan. Like this is the biggest pan that you can find. This is my pan. This I call the Sally Ann pan because I got it as a wedding gift from Sally Ann Creed, and it's an amazing Le Creuset heavy base pan. And so use this for your veg. We want to get it as hot as we can. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to get the veg on, we're going to move it to the side, and then we're going to concentrate on making our beef. And this is going to take us like 20 minutes. So it's going to be super simple. In the dead spots, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Real Meal Revolution's been doing, about an interesting chat I had last Thursday with an interesting character. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to shout. But what I'd really like you to do now is like the post, and share it. That's going to really help get more people into this community and have bigger cook-alongs in future. Righto. And now we're going to light up this pan.
Oh, you can't see it. So
Can't see it. Okay. So getting instructions. So we're lighting this guy up properly, and I'll just keep like staying in the camera angle. Every time I put it on. There we go. Okay, it's super hot. And if you want to cook your vegetables in butter, feel free. If you want to cook your vegetables in olive oil, that's great. I'm going with olive oil today, but the recipe does call for butter. So I'm going to throw in like, I think it's like 2 tablespoons. 50 grams of butter. So 50 grams is like 3 and a bit tablespoons. And you want to get this quite hot. Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you actually just shorten the legs of the tripod all the way, and then I'll just bring it closer. So I don't have to keep leaning over for the camera angle. Well, actually, if you just take this wire off, I'll just grab it. Okay. I'm just taking control. Okay. There we go. I can get much better camera angles like this. Oh. There we go.
Now it's looking at the dates going.
Yeah, don't worry. Okay, so here we go. That's the pan. And this is like the easiest step you'll ever see in your life. Okay, so we've got the pan there. It's nice and hot. Is it hot? You can do the sizzle test. Let's see with the microphone. That's the sizzle test. If it's not making that sound, it's not ready, but it's ready for me. So I'm going to go with my veg. Now, the reason all the veg is cut the same size is because it's all going to cook for roughly the same amount of time. You don't want to have like tiny cut onions and then like big cut other stuff. There we go. Okay, and listen again. That's the sound of a sizzle. Wimpy sizzle. Okay. And you just keep it moving. And the main goal at the moment really, I can actually hold the mic while I'm speaking, which is really handy. The main goal at the moment is actually just to get the onions broken up. You want to get those little pieces of onion scattered. There we go. Now I can be in frame as well. You want to get the onions broken up. And you want to make sure that like each piece of vegetable is getting some surface area of the pan, because otherwise you're going to get like vegetables boiling in their own juices, and that's not actually the thing we want. When you're sautéing something, you want to make sure it's actually frying. And once this is super hot, we're going to transfer it to a smaller heat, to a lower heat, just so that it can tick away, and then we're going to start cooking the beef. Okay, so you can hear it sizzling pretty aggressively now. I'll give you all a second to catch up. Any questions, people? Hey? Okay. And if you're here and you're watching, please give us a like and tell us, say hello, comment, tell me who's out there. I want to hear who's watching. I want to be able to say hello. Hello, hello. Who? Kirsten. Oh, lovely. Hello, Kirsten. Alrighty. Okay, you can see this full pot wash in the background. I wish I could get this slightly lower. Okay, so let's see if I can give you a hard HD top shot. Oh, and that happens. There we go. Right? There we go. That's what it looks like. Okay. So now if you've got your veg sizzling and you're confident that like it's all getting enough heat and it's not like boiling, you don't want like that slow bubbling sound, it's like actually getting fried and caramelized, then light up your next hottest burner, so like the second hottest flame or stove, get it up to a high heat. That's back left for me. And then transfer it across.
Oh, there's a lot of people in. Super Granny's in.
Super Granny, Veronica Proudfoot, it's her birthday today.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Super Granny.
Monica Roberts from France.
Hello, Monica. Monica's super coach, Monica of France, Real Meal Revolution coach, and also general legend and artist, I believe. Okay, geez, this burner's still on. All right. So, okay, so now that the burner's still on, and we're going to start getting our beef ready. Okay, so I got the frying pan going. This is my second biggest pan, and the first thing you want to do is season the meat. So let's just come over here. Season and sear. So we're going to put a little bit of oil in it, because you can oil the pan, but you can also oil the meat. And that's just what I'm doing this time. And that's pretty much it. So generous amounts of salt and pepper. Okay, I'll actually turn this burner off for a bit so that everyone can catch up. So we're going to put a generous amount of salt and pepper on this beef. And don't worry about your veg. You know, if it gets a little bit crispy on the sides, if there's a little bit of brown color on there, hello, it's not the end of the world. So you can use a spoon if it's in a bowl, like toss it around in a bowl with a spoon. I can do that. And I don't need to keep washing my hands. I've washed my hands about 40 times today because I left the house. So here we go. Okay, so now I'll just give it a little toss. Okay, and the reason we want these big chunks like this, is because we want to sear the meat. We want to sear the meat, but we don't want to have it like cook through. We don't want it to be like medium well done. So we're going to sear it in like a stinking hot pan, give it a little bit of caramelization, a little bit of color on the outside, and then we're going to take it out. Then we're going to make the sauce, and right at the end, we're going to add it back in. So the sauce is going to have the beef flavor from when we seared it, but it's not going to be like overcooked beef. Okay, give your vegetables a quick stir, and then we're going to get on to Cookalong, the Trinchado. Okay, so fire it up. Very hot. Let's see if I can get this out. A little bit further out. Get myself in the frame. There we go. Cool. Okay. It's getting nice and hot. We've got the oil on the meat, so we don't need to worry too much about putting oil in the pan.
Angie Hadjidakis is watching.
Who? Angie Hadjidakis. Hello, Angie. Welcome. Welcome to Supper Heroes. Okay, so just as an easy in, I'm going to add some of these fat side down because that's not really going to cook the meat. It's just going to render some of the fat. So add, if you've got very fatty pieces, start adding those with their fat side down, just while the pan's heating up. And you should see it starts to bubble, starting to release some of that fat. And remember, this is a fast cooking Trinchado. So you're gonna want to use a cut of meat that is a fast cooking cut. If you use a stewing cut, that's the kind of Trinchado you want to cook for a very, very long time. Okay, so we've got our fatty cuts. They're sizzling away in their own juice. Give my vegetables a stir. And if your vegetables, if they're soft and they've got some color all over them, then they're probably ready. But like, for instance, I want my veg to look like this. That's a piece of courgette. And like that. So when all of your vegetables are like colored and soft, then they're ready. But mine aren't ready yet. Okay. So, crispy fat. Let's have a look here. This fat that's coming out of the meat is also great to cook the meat in. Let me show you what I'm looking for. So you want some nice color. You want that meat to be colored and brown on the side. Okay? Okay, like so. All right, now you can see lots of smoke coming out of the pan. That's what we want. So smoking hot. Smoking hot is where the color comes from. Okay. So I'm going to leave the fat side down just for a bit on these guys, and then I'm going to start adding some other pieces in. So, okay, the best thing to do now is to actually just tip all the other meat in, but don't stir it. Just settle it. So find a side that it can stay on and just settle it. Because we want to leave it on this one side to get color so that it gets that caramelized flavor. But we want to make sure it just gets good color. And then we're going to flip it once. We don't want to flip it onto all of its sides. Otherwise it's going to overcook and become like tough and dry, etc., etc., etc. I'm also going to decant it into a different dish. Because if it all sits on top of itself in this dish, it's actually going to overcook in its own heat. So, do you think this is big enough? Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Quick stir of the veg. Looking good. Okay. Now, you won't need much more time than this. So if your pan's as hot as mine is and you're getting that color and there's smoke coming out of it, now you can turn it. So look at that. That's the fat. That's the color we want. So I'm going to flip these guys over. and then flip everything else. Okay, so what you should have, if you look down here, you can see all the brown on top of that meat. That's the color I'm wanting. I don't want it to be like pale and gray. It's got to be brown and caramelized like that. Okay. And with that, now they're ready to take off. You've seared them off. The job's done. Fat's crispy, meat's cooked, and you want to try and space them out on the plate as well. You don't want them touching each other, cooking in their own heat. Oh. Okay. There we go. So like gaps between them, meat apart. And now this frying pan is still on. If you can turn it down to like a medium heat, that'll help. So now we're gonna, don't clean the pan. Even if there's dirty stuff stuck in the pan, if there's sediment, like that's all brilliant roasted flavor. So you're gonna leave that there. Keep the pan on the heat. Hey? Paula. PCD, hey? Fantastic. Okay, now you've got all this beef fat smoking here. This is the good stuff. And now to lift all that sediment off, we're going to throw in some onion. So take your chopped onion from the second half of the recipe, chuck it in. And if your pan dries out at this point, no problem. You can just chuck in a little bit of oil or butter. So I'm going to throw in a splash of oil. And then just, so what you can do is use your frying pan to like lift the sediment, use the onion almost like a lappy or like a cloth to lift all of that delicious roasted flavor out of the pan. Hey, Kate, how about opening a door in here? Woo, it's hot. Okay. Can you open that one too? Sure. It's a bit steamy.
Can't stand the heat.
Yeah, I can't handle the heat. You can open the door or get out the kitchen. Okay. So my vegetables feel ready. Okay. I'll tell you what they look like. So come over here and have a look. There we go. There we go. That's what my veggies look like. In my opinion, those are done. Okay. So now I'm going to do, I got this thing on mirror, so I never know like how to get the right angle. Anyway, I'm getting better at camera work, I think. Okay. So when your vegetables are cooked like mine, there's a bit of color, they're a bit soft. Take your tablespoons of capers and a little bit of the water, by the way. This is some of the brine, because we're not going to season with salt and pepper unless we have to. But just take your capers, throw them in. I think it's 3 tablespoons. And just stir them around. I'm going to give them a splash of pepper. But the salt acts as though it is actually, the capers act like they're salt. So no need to season unless you have to. Who? Sweet. How's it, Jules? She's locked on A-team out in Betty's Bay. For those of you who are interested in amazing photography, I encourage you to get onto Instagram and go and follow @Sonder Content. They're amazing. Some pretty epic photography. It's a good friend of ours, Jules. Okay, here we go. So now we can actually turn the heat off here because that's done. That's delicious, salty, I suppose, like semi-Italian sauteed vegetables. If you wanted to go the extra mile, you could add like basil, but I wouldn't go much further than that. Okay, so I'm turning that off. And because it's a heavy base pan, it's going to stay hot right to the end. But let's get back to the onions. So your onions should be looking nice and soft by now. Should be looking like that. And I'm going to pump up the heat properly now, because now we're going to get going with some proper momentum. What's that?
Garlic and chili paste.
Okay, so we're going to add the garlic and chili paste. So I actually have this chili jam or chili thing called the Dictator's chili relish. They didn't pay me to say that. And I'm going to add like two big, it's supposed to be 2 tablespoons. So I'm just going to add in like that much. But then I'm also going to add in some extra garlic, just because I suppose I'm not going to leave the house for a few days, so why not?
Still have a wife.
Still have a wife, I guess. Yeah. And I'm going to saute this. Woo! Go to my eyes. Okay. You just want to stir it around, and what you're trying to do here is fry off the stuff so that all the flavors get integrated, but it's not really a big deal. So once you can smell everything you've just added, my eyes, it's burning my eyes. Okay. What's the next step now? Okay. So we're going to add our beef stock, our lemon juice, our olives, and our paprika. And it's very important to add the paprika after you add the moisture, because the paprika is going to get hydrated again, and that's so it's basically going to boil in the liquid, and that's going to like let the flavor go. If you add it in now, you're going to fry the paprika. It's going to go bitter. Oh, my eyes are burning from my chili. Okay, beef stock. That's organic, like free-range beef stock from a cow that was massaged to death by some monks. It's a true story. Okay, so we added our smoked paprika. We've got to add our olives. I'm actually going to chop my olives just briefly. Chuck those in. Hey? I know you can leave your olives whole if you like, but I'm just not leaving them whole. Okay, so what's that? Olives, paprika, beef stock, oh, and lemon juice. Oh, this smells good. Okay. Just make sure you've broken up all of those little clumps of smoked paprika. Yes. Okay. Lemon juice. How much lemon juice? It's like 40 mils here. 1 lemon. Okay. So when I squeeze the juice, I squeeze it into my fingers, and then because I'm useless at holding water in my hands, the pips stay behind. There we go. Shake it, shake it, shake it. And one more. Okay, so for those of you who missed it, we've just added the beef stock, the olives, the lemon juice, and the smoked paprika, and we're basically almost at the end now. We just need to thicken the sauce. So what we're trying to do now is reduce it, because we want it to be slightly thicker, and the paprika is going to plump up and thicken the sauce. And as we reduce all the moisture, like all those little bits of sediment and everything, they're going to actually create like a thick, delicious, spicy, smoky, salty sauce of goodness. It's looking so good. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is add the beef and the parsley. So I'm just going to get my parsley ready. If you haven't chopped your parsley yet, this is a good time to chop the parsley. Okay. So now at this point, you want to get your serving dish ready, because we're basically like seconds away from serving. Let's see if I can lift that up a little bit. Okay. Am I in the stream?
You in. The banner gets in the way of the pan. That's why I'm moving.
Okay. So we're good.
Yeah.
There we go. I can see myself. Okay, goodness, my back's taking a strain. My old age. Get a little chair. This is quite uncomfortable. Anyway, okay, so you can see this is bubbling nicely. For those of you who want a closer look, can I move it closer? You just watch it when it comes back. Oh, there we go. You can see it's thickening up nicely here. That's what you're supposed to be going after, like a kind of thick sauce like that. It doesn't like run straight to the middle. Okay. How's that? And with that, we are ready to serve. So the final step, to give this like a blast of freshness, or first, oh, that is spicy, that is delicious, it's so good. So you can add the meat and the parsley at the same time. I know that my wife, old Kate, young Kate, she loves to eat the meat sort of like rare or blue. So I don't want it to get too cooked, but I want the parsley to soften slightly and actually have time to give that burst of freshness. So I'm adding the parsley, giving it a solid stir. And then my very, very last step, as the sauce is thickening up like this, I'm going to add that beef, add all the juice from the pan as well, because that's going to add flavor. And if you can toss, I encourage you to toss. And if you can't, just stir. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then you don't want this to cook on the heat for that much longer. You actually want to get it into a dish as soon as possible. So just have a look here. That's what it looks like. And that is game on. So I'm going to give it like a quick crack of salt. Here we go. And turn it off the heat. Off with the heat. Give it a little crack of salt. Yes. Stir. Really, really, like you don't need to cook it any more than that unless you want it like well done or something. And I know I'm trying to get the screen right. Okay, so now you take your vegetables, tip them out of the pan, get all that delicious goodness in there, spread it out. And then, I don't know if I should use a serving spoon or just tip it. Should I just tip it? Okay. Now you're just going to tip. You want to get this out of the pan as fast as possible so it stops cooking, basically. So there we go. Trinchado out. Yes. Okay. And there we have Trinchado with sauteed vegetables. And this is going to be so, so good. All right, you want to put some parsley on the top. You're serving for guests. Happy birthday, Veronica. I hope it's delicious. Jules, take a photo, stick it on Instagram, stick it on Facebook. If you've made this at home right now, please just stop and take a photograph and stick it into the comments. I want to see who's made what it looks like. Tell me what the flavors are like. If you think other people will enjoy this cook-along, share it. If you're watching this and you don't know where this video came from and you just stumbled across it, this is from the Supper Heroes Facebook group. So please like the Supper Heroes group or join the Supper Heroes group. We do this every Wednesday and it's a fantastic way to spend the evening. And for those of you who watched and who cooked, I hope you enjoy a super delicious low-carb meal, packed with punches of flavor. I want to taste it. Oh yeah, and we're also streaming to YouTube, to the Jonno Proudfoot YouTube channel. I don't know where to start. It's all good. All right, ladies and gents, have a lovely evening. Nick, you can end the stream. I'll just keep waving goodbye until it's over. Bye. Bye. It's getting awkward, Nick.